Hello, everyone. And apparently, we are very much on theme today. Maybe that's just some sort of magical thing that happened by pure chance. But today, we are here to talk about mentors versus sponsors. I thought they were kind of the same thing sometimes. Well, we'll get into it. But before we get into any of that today, I'm so excited to introduce some of our amazing panelists tonight. First is Prabita, and I'm not going to try your last name because I'm so sorry. I'm sure I would mispronounce it, and I didn't see a good readout of it, and I apologize profusely. But let's start with Prati. Prati is an accomplished engineering leader with experience managing global teams of over 50 employees at companies such as Target, FedEx, Wells Fargo, and Wipro. She is currently serving as the liaison officer on the Anita B. AI committee. What's up, girl? Great job. She is also the founder and former CTO of ADV. This company emerged from the IBM Watson AI X Prize pitch competition held in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and was later selected for the Target Accelerator program. At Target, Prati managed a team responsible for maintaining inventory accuracy for over 1,900 Target stores. She has a diverse background in engineering leadership, entrepreneurship, and technology consulting and advisory. She possesses extensive expertise in enterprise application development, team building, and creating unique and innovative teams at the intersection of software engineering and AI. Woo! Way to go, Prati.
Thank you.
Next is Polina Ruvinsky. Polina is a seasoned technical leader, has driven innovation and product engineering at renowned brands like Disney, ABC, ESPN, and Rosetta Stone. She's founded multiple women's communities and continues to mentor women in tech to help pivot or uplevel their careers. An entrepreneur since 2022, she is currently working to launch Hype Her, a platform that is revolutionizing how women gain visibility while uplifting each other. Thank you so much, Polina. Hey.
Thanks for having me.
And Hana, I'm going to call you Dopra. Dopra is an active volunteer, global mentor, and founder and CEO of blackmaple.io. With over 15 years of dedicated commitment working at the intersection of technology and workforce development, she is a recognized leader who passionately advocates for equity and justice. Hana is on a mission to make the digital economy accessible and inclusive, working tirelessly to close gaps and open doors, one meaningful career at a time. Amazing. So now that I feel like just the smallest person in the room, just it is every time it is just such a gift to be around so many gifted and giving women. And to kind of start us out, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and where you are currently as far as your career goes?
Okay, I can go first. Thank you so much, Stacy, for that introduction. I don't know if I deserve it or not, but yeah, so I was working for Target previously. So if you ever walked into Target store, wondered where this all inventory comes from, how is it getting organized and stuff. So I was responsible for making that possible. But excuse me also, like we have had hiccups during COVID times, inventory shortages and stuff like that. So we did our best to replenish the store to our maximum ability. But prior to that, like Stacy said, I've worked for different companies in Bay Area, Pittsburgh, I tried building a company in Pittsburgh and California, went on to some extent, wasn't so successful, but I have had my learnings. It's wonderful to meet two other women here who are giving back. So, I mean, women in tech is because of women like this, right? So who are trying to give back and contribute to the community. So thanks for having me here.
I can jump in next. Yes, I'm excited to be here. And I guess if we go back to when I started my tech career, I was a non-traditional candidate. I don't have a computer science degree. And so I was mostly self-taught, and I became a back-end software engineer working in Java for Disney. And over time, I was asked to be a lead, and then I went into managing teams and had distributed teams across the country. And during that time, I also started the Women in Tech chapter at Disney, and that's something that I just found was so rewarding, just getting women together and having that energy, that support, that it started to eclipse my interest in my day job. And over time, I made the decision to leave. I left even without my degree. At that point, I had become director of software engineering. And still, I just really wanted to be, kind of give back and build up the community of women. So when I left, I started volunteering and mentoring at the Ada Developers Academy, which is here in Seattle. They teach women to pivot into tech careers. And that's just been amazing. And as I mentioned, now I'm an entrepreneur, and this is another new adventure for me. And I'm continuing to mentor, and really just even my business is really focused on empowering women. It's really my passion. And so very happy to be here with all of you.
I'm equally excited to be here. Thank you for having me, Stacy. It is always a pleasure to be in your presence. You're an infectious spirit, and I love it. I like to tell people that I loiter in tech for a living. So I support individuals in various communities, particularly equity deserving communities, in learning digital skills. And then I work with companies to be able to diversify their workforce. Where I'm at in my career currently is, I would say, like at a place of gratitude, where while this digital transformation is happening, I get to support individuals in participating and impacting what this transformation looks like.
That's amazingly powerful and feeds kind of exactly into the next question, which is, what is a sponsor and what is a mentor, and how are they different?
Do you want me to take a crack at it?
Hey, you, everybody. We got cracks all around. Anybody who wants a crack, have one.
Amazing. So I think a sponsor is someone who sort of co-signs you. So this is a person who brings you into spaces and conversations and allows you to be able to shine and demonstrate your abilities. Whereas I think a mentor is someone who helps you unblock and level up. So they both play very significant roles, I think, in career development. So I would say, yeah, a sponsor is someone who definitely makes room for you at the table. And a mentor helps you build those tools to be able to participate at that table.
Yeah, and maybe I would just add that as a mentor, you're a little bit on the outside in that you're sharing your experience. Your biggest focus is on sharing your experience. Whereas as a sponsor, what you're really sharing is that the opportunities, right? Like the creating of opportunities.
Yeah, I kind of echo the thoughts of both of them. So a sponsor is someone like who takes the risk on behalf of you. So they represent you in places where you're not heard, like they take your back and they represent you. So they better know your work on a day-to-day basis and you keep them updated. Whereas mentor is someone I would think of more of as an ally, of course, more than ally, like sometimes it's not necessary to have, for the mentor to have more experience than the mentee. It works the other way too. So I've always, I also mentor engineering managers at Plato, which is one of the platform where you can connect with other industry professionals, software engineering managers. So what I have found is it's a two-way street. Like, so you learn about them and then you serve their needs on a very frequent basis.
I think from my perspective, I've always looked at the sponsors in my life as being the people who keep my name on their mouths, right? Where you are not necessarily front of mind, but you're occupying space. And really just and who have some capability of bringing or presenting or throwing your name down for an opportunity, right? Sponsor doesn't have to be your manager. Sponsor could be somebody in a whole other part of the business, but is like, yeah, but I've been talking to so-and-so and I think they have some great ideas about XYZ. Or whatever that might be, right? Versus mentor, you might have your deepest, darkest secrets with, right? It's like your mentor, your coach, and your therapist, right? You can't share that with your sponsor. That is growth points, right? So and personally I try to keep the two separated just for reasons. And I'm just kind of curious, like, have you had consistent sponsors and mentors in your career? What did the mentor provide for you? What has a sponsor provided for you?
So for me, the mentors that I've had really helped me in really strengthening some of my skill sets. So where I identified some gaps, they were able to help me really just develop them in a way that I was comfortable. With my sponsors, I have a couple of them, just because in the space that I'm in and the position that I'm in, I think as an entrepreneur and a racialized woman, there aren't too many of us. And as a result, sometimes, we're not necessarily invited to certain spaces or, we're not invited to certain spaces. So the sponsors in my life have been really great in being intentional. And as you mentioned, like keeping me top of mind, whether it's for events or introductions into their network, and really using their social capital, their professional capital, to say, like, Hana is someone that you'd want to have a conversation with in terms of finding alignment. So I'm very grateful for them. And in turn, they've taught me how to be a better mentor and sponsor in real time.
Yeah, I guess in my career too, like I've had a couple of opportunities to get sponsored. One was very early in my career. So I come from a very humble family background. So I've taken scholarships and loans to do my education and stuff. So early in my career, when I got seat in computer science and engineering degree, I didn't have enough, or my father didn't have enough funds. So there was a lady in India who sponsored my education. So she looked at all my, academic records and the other things. And one thing that struck her was like my extracurricular activities. I was in National Cadet Corps, which is one of the paramilitary forces in India. Like they teach you to be how to be more confident, and you attend Republic Day camps, and so I attended a a shooting camp in Delhi and stuff like that. So she looked at the overall picture, overall personality of that person too. How this person can go ahead in future. So women have that ability to foresee, right? So they usually say that sponsor is someone who sees your ability beyond where you are at, like in future what you can do. So that's one instance. The other one is when I joined Target, I was in a specific program for engineering manager immersion program. So we had a triad, like of course like Stacy said, your manager, we have all had those managers, right? Look, so forget about acting as a sponsor. They don't even sometimes recognize your efforts and stuff. Like you all we have all gone through that, right? So we had a triad manager. It's not that my manager was a very good manager in Target, but I'm just talking in general. So it's a triad of manager, sponsor, and mentor. So a sponsor is someone who selected us before we got into that program. They looked at our profile, and then they thought that this is the particular candidate I want to sponsor. So fortunately, I got someone who is at the very high end of the spectrum. Like she was a VP of product engineering, and so I moved from Bay Area to Minneapolis. So that was like an interesting journey, and I had a lot of learnings over there. And I'm really fortunate for these two ladies in my life. I mean, of course, there are other places where you get like small sponsorships and stuff, but this has been a significant thing in my life, at least. Whereas mentor is someone like, I guess, I've had a few instances throughout this program. So, of course, I was assigned, as a part of the program, I had a mentor, but there were other ladies in the organizations, or men and women, who were very supportive enough. That's what I like about Target, like very good culture over there, like exchange of knowledge, and the engineering divisions are very cordial in nature. And at different points, I had a coach / mentor assigned for a short period of time, apart from Target, on my own capacity. But I do regret sometimes that I wish I would have known this fact that you can get a mentor on your own early in your career. But it's never too late to get one.
Yeah, I think for me, I've never been part of a formal program or a formal sort of sponsorship. The person I think of as a sponsor was actually my manager, and he just really saw, like Prati said, like he saw the potential in me even before I really saw it in myself. Early in my career, I think I wasn't. I really didn't see myself as a leader, but that came in time. And then he really went to, when new teams were being formed, there was this, we were doing like a big greenfield project, and he nominated me for this project, and then another one that was a secret project. And honestly, I wasn't even sure I was up for it, but of course I said yes. And I'm really grateful that he advocated for me, and because I really wasn't doing a good job of that myself. And when I mentor now, I try to teach all the women I mentor to do all the things I didn't do myself, and I'm grateful that it kind of happened organically, because I wasn't very strategic about it at all. And then as far as mentorship, I mean, same thing. I'm always talking about get more mentorship, do it, and also encouraging. I think one thing that a lot of people don't realize is that it is a two-way relationship. As a mentor, you really get so much out of it. And so often these women are like, oh, I don't want to bother you, or, whatever. And it's, so just that the other person's getting a lot out of it as well. And I didn't actually have a mentor until much later in my career, just in the last few years. And it was incredible. He helped me get out of some really tough spots. And it was interesting because also he had some blind spots because, you know, he was male. And so he didn't, I guess some of the things I brought to him, he didn't really understand, but I also felt like I benefited from that sort of very male confidence of like, hey, can't you just do that? And you think, well, it's not as easy for us, but thank you for that perspective. Maybe I'll try.
That's so amazing to hear some of y'all's stories over here. I mean, um, there is one woman that I credit for me like to open a lot of these doors. And Linda Lawton, some of y'all may know this woman, may not. But many years ago, over a decade ago, in fact, I posted on Google Plus in the Google I/O channel. I'm dating myself for sure. Um, and I said, oh my gosh, I can't believe I didn't get tickets again. I've been trying really hard every year since, you know, like 2009 or something along those lines to get a ticket to Google I/O. And she was part of what was pretty new at the time, the Google Developer Expert Program, and messaged me because I had said like, oh man, my new husband and I were really hoping to make this our like honeymoon trip. Super nerds. This is a thing. And she reached out and she said, I knew exactly who you were when I looked at your profile and when you said that you wanted that to be your honeymoon. I knew that you were serious and I could see that, you know, you were deeply passionate and I want you to be my plus one for Google I/O. And not only did she have me, you know, be her plus one ticket, but she dragged me into those rooms with other people, part of those programs. Hey, meet these people who run this. You know, we sat down and a member of the Chrome team, like, and we just had this amazing dinner and just all of these things that opened up so many avenues and then continued to grow and she continued to be a sponsor of, you know, kind of going, no, you should go for that. Like, do this, talk to this person, do that. And, you know, I'm sure she'll be extra humble about all of it. But at the time, like that, I would not be here in this room. I would not know any of you were it not for her influence. And when I think about people in my current situation, like outside of work, mentors and sponsors do not have to be in your work. Sponsors do not have to be in your workplace. I wouldn't have my executive coach were it not for people in my network, sponsors in my network, mentors in my network. You can be both at the same time, you know. All of these things are, I think we need to look beyond labels, but at the same point in time, you should understand the differences, right? As an example, some of the people in my alumni network, I have learned so much from, and I probably looked like an absolute idiot going to this leadership consortium full of all these people in suits, you know, almost 15 years ago, and being like, no, I'm going to be there. And like, saying it but not believing it at the time, and like it just opened up avenues and doors and has been so pivotal in putting yourself in those spaces to make those relationships. So more specifically, what mentors do you have now? How do you mentor now? Do you mentor now? What do you consider the differences in how you interact with those relationships?
I do quite a bit of mentoring right now. I mentioned the women who are pivoting into tech. So usually we start kind of early on when they get their internship for many of them, they've never even been in a corporate environment before. And so it really is for them, there's so many questions about just how do you navigate that? Like, is it normal for me to ask these kinds of questions, or how do I get around this type of problem? So it's a lot of really just kind of basic helping them navigate, but also a lot of it, at least in my case, ends up being kind of a pep talk, because they are generally really overwhelmed and not feeling particularly like the smartest. And so it's over and over saying like, what you're feeling is completely normal. Of course, this is all new. And even if you were an experienced person, this would still be new. And you would still feel like there's so much to learn, and it's okay. Just keep showing up, keep communicating, right? That's another thing I'm always like, you can't just be sitting there doing your work, which again, this is another thing I learned the hard way. Like,
Are
I would
you
just sit
telling
there
me
in my
that
cube.
sweat equity is a lie, Polina? That sweat
It's a
equity doesn't
lie.
mean anything?
Well, I think you have to do that and the other thing, right? Like you have to show off your work, but then you also have to talk to people. I mean, sitting in my cube did nothing for me, right? It was kind of that wasn't the way to move forward. So yeah, so lots of that, and then once they get the success stories when they land the job post internship, which these days obviously very tough for junior folks, and then you kind of start all over again, because they have this feeling like, oh well, maybe I've arrived, but how come I still feel like I don't know anything? And so like it's going to keep going. It's just going to be different waves of it. You'll always have that like, what am I doing? I feel so stupid. But you'll have a trajectory to look back on and say, hey, this is like the 10th time I felt like that, and this is how I came out of it, and now I know it's going to be okay. So yeah, that's what a lot of my mentorship looks like these days.
For me, I guess, as I mentioned briefly previously, it's a two-way street. Like, so I learn about them. So I use reverse mentoring, especially when I tackle a lot of engineering managers who are working in AI come to me, hey, how do we tackle this? Because a lot of AI projects go in vain. They think that it goes in vain, but it doesn't. Like, you build a lot of prototypes and then so it doesn't see the light of the day. So how do you encourage people, and then how do you share your own experiences, like where it goes, how you can make an impact? Like, so that is in terms of tech, but like the other panelists said, a lot of mentoring is soft skills. I hate that term, soft skills. A lot of people in tech usually do not pay attention to that. Like, that's one of the things I wish I could have paid attention to earlier in my career. So find mentors like this where you can learn from them, like how to present yourself. So just being there, right? Like she said, so being an introvert myself, I can relate to that. Like, I use these platforms like Women Who Code, Bay Area, San Francisco Bay Area chapter, to attend meetups and put myself out there. Even if I do not speak a word, I'll just be there with a group of people and listen to them. So that's a good part about introverts, right? So you can find mentors like that in every place. It doesn't have to be one person. So they can groom you in areas where you're not exposed to, and so that's not primarily your field, right? So going forward, as in like in the engineering leadership journey, at least you need to be like act as an wholesome figure, like knowing all these things other than tech, right? So I think that's where a mentor plays a crucial role. So right now I am, like I said, I'm mentoring at Plato, and also I need to be AI committee. I forgot to talk about that. So so I serve on the artificial intelligence committee, and we have frequent meetings as to how to support women in AI, like to to break into the field of AI and then pursue career in that.
It's amazing. I think, yeah, like with mentorship, there's such an honor to be able to support individuals. I think in unpacking or unblocking some things that they experience. For me, so my background is in career development. So I'm a career development practitioner and performance psychologist. So when I work with individuals, I don't, like, I understand, I love that you said this earlier, Stacy, about like getting rid of labels. Because I feel like I'm a co-creator with them, like I'm just collaborating. I'm more of a supporting actor in their story and their journey. So I work with individuals at different career stages, whether they're, you know, looking to maybe level up, or maybe they're just starting, maybe they're transitioning into a new career or second career, or maybe they're just an entrepreneur. But what I found was that what I've noticed over the years is that the hardest thing to do is really bet on yourself. And then when you do, the rest becomes easy. So like, I think my job as their support system is really to cancel out the noise and then help things make sense for them. But the actual work is them. Like they do all the work. They, you know, take the advice, they implement it, they see what works, they measure it, and they just keep going. And I think it's just an honor to be able to support them in that transformation. But yeah, mentors, I've never met anybody who doesn't want to help. I think we always just say, like, does our toolkit have the necessary tools you need in this point in your journey? And that's what we try to evaluate when supporting.
The whole time you're talking, Hannah, all I can think about is kind of this analogy that you're the black Sharpie that outlines their picture so that they can turn the page and start a new one. Right? Like that kind of definitive element to what a mentor does, right? You brought all the colors. I just brought the Sharpie, right? It's I don't know. I guess it's somewhat analogous. I call myself a glorified janitor. Sometimes I'm just the guy with the sawdust, making sure that the throw up doesn't go everywhere. And sometimes I'm the one who's, you know, up there fixing the AC, you know, like it's just it's a really different kind of job set. And I think that's also part of what comes into being able to really be that person that comes and defines what that next stage is. Helps you say, oh, well, you've already painted the picture. I'm just drawing out the outline, right? And, you know, when it comes to mentors and the strength of mentors and how to be a mentor, we've had another panel specifically about how to be a mentor. So I strongly encourage that everyone get a chance to check that out on YouTube. And kind of furthermore, like how we found our mentors. I feel like it exactly what Prati had brought up. Showing up. Getting out there. If nobody knows you, they can't help you. If you are not asking for help, nobody's going to be like, hey, I got nothing but hands. Just grab something, right? So, you know, that is a totally different kind of relationship, totally different set of unlocks versus a sponsor, right? So when I think about the sponsors always had a little bit of not just I'm helping you because I believe in you. That's always part of it. That's part of it. But I'm helping you because it's better. It's helping. It could be helping me. It could be helping somebody else. Could be, there's always some other element versus I feel like mentorship is always the I'm helping you because I'm helping you. Right? I'm working with you because it's you. Sponsorship feels almost like the difference between psychology and sociology, right? Like I'm using you to get results. I'm opening doors because that door has been creaky as all get out, and you're the person with the WD-40. So there it is. So when we talk about mentors and sponsors, what do you do to be a sponsor? How did you become someone's sponsor? How did you identify those unique capabilities?
That's a good question. I think for me, I live off because I'm in the business of people. And when I think about that and all the learnings that we have that sort of inform the things that we built that make our business, for me, it's always been like, whatever is at my disposal is yours. Like it is an extension to the communities in my network. But I often go back, I even think about when people go to look for mentors or sponsors, it's the why in that. So like, what is it that we can help you with? Right? Because I think ultimately everybody wants to be able to help. So while I can say that I've sponsored someone, I've really just sponsored their belief in themselves, like their ability to just say like they can do it. But they identified what that sponsorship looked like. So it was like, hey, can I get access to this? Or do you have access to this? And then I do, and I'm able to support them in that. I think it's the same thing with mentorship, where it's like evaluating the tools that you have. So it's an interesting thing. So like I check in with people. If someone were to ask me, it's just a simple question. I know it can feel intimidating, don't get me wrong, where you're just like, I feel like this might feel transactional because I need something from you. But I think because of the type of work I'm in, I'm like, if you win, I win, we all win, it's a win-win. Let's do it. So that's how I sort of look at it.
Yeah.
I think, oh, Prati, go ahead.
Thank you. No, I was just, I so concur with that thought, like believing in yourself, right? So I have had very less opportunities. Maybe I need to still go ahead and get more experience and stuff like that. But one thing that, so I guess it's the innate nature or the inbuilt quality in you, right? Like that helps you sponsor individuals. So since I faced hurdle in terms of finance or in terms of other ways, like where I got support from a few people in my career, I wanted to give back. And last year, I believe in 2022, I guess, or 2023, so I don't remember exactly, people wanted to attend Grace Hopper conference. Of course, you have external like institutions sponsoring scholarships and stuff, but I wanted to do my bit because I believe in giving back to the community. So what I looked at that person when I was sponsoring them for the conference is the way they wrote me a message. Hey, so I have this hurdle. I really wanted to be there. I want to network with other like-minded women and other professionals and also contribute, but I'm facing this hurdle. So I have this much of capability. I can come halfway. So if somebody can help me the other halfway, I could take advantage and also contribute to the conference and stuff. So I like that part. Like, so there's always a saying, right? Like, so if you decide to walk the path halfway, the universe walks the other halfway, right? So that struck me, and I sponsored her for the Grace Hopper conference. That was one instance. But so never shy away. I would say never shy away from bringing your acumen or your intelligence to the to anywhere, right? So people are there to help. So I wish I could have realized this earlier. So be it a mentor or a sponsor. So there are people who have faced the same hurdles and out there to help you. So take advantage of it and also appreciate the work they are doing. So just giving them the update back, like, right? So a mentor or a sponsor would really love to hear from you, like how that benefited you, and keep them updated. It's not a one-off scenario. You need to build that relationship. Um, so people are, when they are looking for jobs, that's when they start to network. But no, networking is helpful in many ways. So you build that relationship and get a sponsor. So you never know where you get a sponsor from. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a formal relationship or a formal engagement.
Definitely want to echo what you said about building the relationship. Like that's really where that is, but definitely for a sponsorship, like you have to have put in some time and develop a relationship with your potential sponsor. And I think when I think about sponsoring people, I guess, for me, it was always, if I had high potential people on my team, I was always making sure that I was mentioning them over and over to my own leadership and making sure that their name was being mentioned, right? Like I think Stacy said that too. But currently, I mean, I hired a bunch of my mentees who were looking for work and struggling to find work right now. And so they're working for me now for however long my funds last. So I guess that's a form of sponsorship. But I, all jokes aside, my hope is that my business will be wildly successful. And then I'm going to say, and these are the junior engineers that the rest of you aren't hiring, and like really take a look at what they're capable and what they were able to create. So that's hopefully will open up more opportunities for them in the long run.
I actually wanted to touch on like something that totally just came through that I remembered of a specific sponsorship opportunity and specific sponsorship thing. A little while ago, I was manager of multiple teams, and but I was also the tech lead, and I was running the Android organization and iOS and API and running like crazy. But at the time, I was pretty understaffed, especially in my own group. But there was somebody in my organization who every single time we talked, while he wanted to do everything in his power to help and do as much as he can, and he was a great performer in delivering quality Android code, it's not where his passion was. And it was one of those things where it was very hard, but I was like, okay, I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure that we can get you into the kind of work that wakes you up in the middle of the night because you're just so happy that you solve something, right? Like something that genuinely brings joy to every day. Not just, and he was happy enough. He said, he's like, I'm very happy with what I'm doing, but I was like, yeah, but how much more could you be? How is this not driving your career forward? And made that really hard thing where it was basically just going to be me and another like junior engineer holding down the fort, writing all the code. Cause like I said, I was severely understaffed due to some other movements and things like that. But oh my gosh, what did it unlock in this person? This person became the top performer on a brand new team in a brand new organization within, weeks. and coming in without having necessarily like a huge amount of expertise, and woke up every morning and I saw him every day with the biggest smile on his face. And he was the greatest advocate for all the things that our team needed, that involved this new group. And I just think about what would that have changed? How would his reality have changed? How would his life have changed were that not the case? Now, granted, I ate crap for like 2 months, just busting my butt. But oh my gosh, was that smile worth it in the morning? Just so happy, right? So, what has made a great sponsor? How did you find that great sponsor? How did that sponsor become great for you?
I just asked. I figured out what it was that I was looking for support in. And then I sort of looked to my network to see if I had anyone, or if there was someone in my network who had somebody. And then I was just very explicit with the ask, where it was like, hey, I'm really good at this thing, but I'm not great here and I'm struggling here. And I think you have just judging off of their experience, and sort of just aligned all of that and just made the ask. I was like, what's the worst that could happen? They'd say no to me. And then I'd be like, okay, well, that was fun. Let me try somebody else. But I think because what I was looking for, I think the ultimate goal for me, or the goal that I'd set, was so important. I just needed to hold on to that. And then as Prati had said earlier, if you walk halfway, the universe meets you at the other half. So I had to trust the universe that just do my part and see who would reach out. And then I was lucky and I got a few sponsors, and they've been great at really supporting me at whatever level I'm reaching to. So it's like if I hit the first goal, then I'm operating at a different level. And they've been great to even identify if they've run out of tools. So they're like, okay, there's nothing I can sponsor you with anymore or support you in. Here's someone else that I can help you. That can help you do that. And that was phenomenal, I think. But it was very relational. It was a very intentional ask, and intentional in doing my part. I had to demonstrate both in action and also in words and gratitude for what they were doing for me and alongside me. So I think that's what made them great, is that it didn't feel like someone was doing me a favor. It felt like someone was believing in me, and they were demonstrating that. And then I was demonstrating my appreciation by following through. So yeah, I just asked. It was scary, but paid off.
Literally, I see that you are living on your own and and own things.
No, that's so important, right? So putting yourself out there, coming out of comfort zone and asking, right? So that's the difficult thing to do, but do it anyway, right? So I mean, the recent advice that I've heard is practice, practice, practice. So even if you're an introvert, if you're not good at talking to people, asking things, do it. Take that first step, and that builds the confidence, right? So you might there might be instances where people are busy, may not respond. So don't take it, don't take a step back and keep trying. So that persistence helps. So that's what helped me early in my career. So I was just out of college, and I got the seat in engineering, and I didn't have enough funds. There is a whole new story, another story that I wanted to do medical degree, but this is the most feasible and sustainable way, I thought, and I pursued that. But so it was very difficult for me to get sponsorship because see, when a sponsor picks you up, so my example was, even though I was a school topper, I didn't do so well in my college, and I was a little skeptical as to whether I'll get the scholarship or not. But I got a loan and I repaid it back to the NGO. So I used to go every day to that NGO and, hey, I really want to do this. Help me out, find some way. So the person who was running the NGO reached out to this person, this woman who is a business leader. Her name is Bharti Ramola Gupta. She stays in Delhi, which is very, very far away from where I stay. I live in South, which is Karnataka, which is a southern part of India. So and like she looked at, like I said, it is not necessarily have to be, you don't have to be academically strong, or you don't have to be expert in a certain field. So people look at you like everybody. I believe that everybody has a unique talent, so you never know what is your talent. So she recognized my overall personality and she sponsored me, right? So so keep trying, persistence helps. But the second time, when I grew in my career, I worked in Bay Area companies, I worked in Pittsburgh, I tried to build my own company. I think that all added when VP of engineering at Target sponsored me for the program. So they selected and they sponsored. So that came right out of the box because of my experience. So there are different life stages where you have to prove yourself and keep trying, I guess, to get a sponsor. So it's never easy, right? Like it's never easy to get a sponsor, but try hard anyway.
Yeah, I don't have too much to add because I already told you all I kind of stumbled into it. It was an accident. But what did make him a great sponsor was that, I mean, he really just trusted people. That was, because I think we already talked about that it takes political capital to move, be in a room and say, I think this person's going to be great. They better not screw up because then you're going to look like the idiot, right? So he was just so willing, like he just trusted in my abilities and just put me forward for these roles. And then even when I was in this team that he ended up also leading, he really just like trusted me so much that he let me he was like, just run with it, see you later. Let me know if you need something. And it was something I'd never done before, but I found that that's when I really am at my best, is when someone is like, I believe in you, see you later. And that was, I felt that made them both a great manager and a great sponsor.
So we had a question from the audience that's around how to navigate finding mentors, sponsors, especially in this era of remote work. I know we've talked a lot about like getting yourself out there, but is there maybe like an element of how to make yourself sticky to get the people you want in your deck of cards, right? Like how do you get the sponsor you want? Or at least, what's that old saying, like shoot for the moon, because even if you don't make it, you'll still be among the stars, right? What's kind of the advice that you would give to that individual?
Yeah, I mean, I would say, because I'm still thinking about Ryan, so I think identifying that person is, you have to find the person who appears to, I guess, have the ear of some decision makers, so someone that has, I don't know, like you can sense some people are sort of like the rising star, or they're on the inside, or whatever, whatever you consider that. But those people do make really excellent sponsors. So trying to align yourself with that person. And then also, I think you just, everyone wants to help. I think that's already been said, and everyone is willing to usually talk to you. So what I would suggest is, when you identify that person, you set something up with them and you ask them about their journey, and then you talk about what you're excited about, and just start building that. And then have subsequent, is it okay for us to meet again? Have subsequent meetings when you talk about, well, this is what I just accomplished, and this is what I'm curious about, and all of that. And it may just come together just from those conversations.
I'm gonna be honest. One of the ways that I get good mentors and sponsors is from just participating in dumb corporate events like karaoke. Just if you honestly, because there's a certain element of fear there, and if you seem like you're having a good time, you make everybody else feel like they're having a good time, and then that opens up so many doors to things that you may not. I mean, I'm not saying that you have to put yourself out there and start singing, fly fly over the rainbow or whatever the song is for you, but um it's when you talk about like how do you find how do you find your people of influence, especially in remote work where you don't know who knows who and who's on the inside, and your boss probably doesn't tell you because you're not high enough ranked to sit in those meetings anyway. But if you scope their calendar, you can find out who they are. Pro tip. um Look at some org charts. Is there somebody who's like, oh, I'm going to Pittsburgh, and you're like, CTO's going to Pittsburgh too. I wonder if the two of them are hanging out. The answer is always yes. So just put those things in, I would always say. But like, that is amazing advice, Polina. Like, that is, how do you find the sticky people, right? The people who can make sure that, oh, I just talked to so and so, we had a great time talking about our shared interest in X, right? And that opened up avenues to go, well, hey, now we can talk about this other stuff. So, like, how did you find that stickiness, Prati? How did you find that stickiness? Dopra. I love the name. I love the name so much. I'm going to call you that from now until the end of time.
I welcome it by all means.
Yeah, me too. Like, I really love the way you put it in a humorous way, right? Like, we find very less women who are very like lively like you, right? Like, so it's not always intimidating
Oh,
networking. So
ma'am, you should have met me in high school. I was on nobody's social list. I walked in with a full backpack full of books and a collared shirt, and I went to a public school. You can imagine. Like, straight laced.
you are a great example there, right? So how you have moved from that. So, I mean, I guess, yeah, like I just wanted to say, so I just wanted to echo your thoughts, right? Like, so when you have that inbuilt fire in you, you want to do something, you want to accomplish it anyway. So I guess maybe I'm not good with humor, but like in a serious way. So I guess you find your way. Like, so if you have that in your mind, like you somehow find it, right? Like you either go to a network or you even within the company, right? Like, for example, I was working at Intuit Mountain View office. So they used to have this lot of knowledge sharing sessions, talks and stuff. I used to go out there and learn about other domains. So there was a particular department called as knowledge engineering. They used to extract the documents, information out of documents, and then build something out of it. So I guess for tech people, what I found is connecting on my area of interest, right? So if there is something, some subject matter expertise, like let's say I want to talk about operating systems, right? Like I find it easier to talk about that. So that can be a good connecting point. I'm not saying you don't have to talk about the subject all the time, but so that can be good connecting point, and you can take it from there. So I find I find that people are passionate about the work they are doing. Everybody wants to talk about their work and stuff. So that can be a good connecting point. So I have written an article on LinkedIn for Grace Hopper conference, so getting hired and hiring at GHC, how to do diversity hiring and how to job search. A lot of these points are connected to that. So I would say go and check that article if you're interested to learn how to network and how to get out there and connect with like-minded individuals and find a sponsor or mentor.
Yeah, I love that you said that, where it was aligning on subjects, right? Or areas of interest or accomplishments. And I know that, like, before, when you were in office, there was like the water cooler or the lunchroom that you could see your colleagues and connect with them. So I think like leveraging like remote tools that you might use for communication, so like Slack or Microsoft Teams, you've got different channels or topics of interest. So that's one way of sort of building rapport. But then another thing you could try is like setting up like, okay, I would call it like a hi friend, which is like a brief coffee chat, an intro chat, just to get to know someone. And this would be like internally at an organization. I think externally outside of work, to build your network, it's really identifying like, what is it that you want to connect on? Is it a collaboration? Is it to learn more about a particular subject? Or is it maybe even a second or third degree? I've got cheat sheets of like scripts you can use, so I'll pass that on to Stacy. She can bring that to you guys, but I'll show you ways that you can do like cold outreach to people, or to do intros. But I think internally at work is finding ways to, share, and sometimes humor. Yes, I have mine. Mine is over there. If I move, I'm out of
This
camera.
is my cold intro. There you go.
Yeah.
Cute. Hi, I'm Stacy.
I love it. I love it. And I collect one from her every time I see her in person. So my collection just keeps growing. So I have Stacy with me all the time. But yeah,
I don't know
internally,
if I feel endeared or a little creeped out.
I mean,
imagine.
can I not fangirl from time to time? I think it's necessary.
I'm really, hey, I'm not, this is a no judgment zone.
I appreciate that very much, but also feel free to judge. I don't mind. I have all your stickers, so I'm still going to get another one next time I see you. But I was going to say, yeah, so like internally is just finding ways, and sometimes that could be just off of a light chat, engaging in something that someone might share in like a random channel, or just being intentional and booking time with someone.
Oh, I also will mail them out. So if you're very interested, I will very send. I have some new holographic ones coming in. Ooh. So, that kind of just caught me a little off guard from what I was thinking about. I think it's really important to recognize that stickiness is something you can do anywhere. We had a lot of questions around like remoteness, or people who are looking to move into certain careers or having trouble finding a job. Become sticky. Become somebody in that recruiter's mind, that even if you didn't get the job, you're going to get considered for the next one, or that they only have positive things to remember when they see that your resume showed up in their system again. Whatever those things are for you, make sure they happen. And, kind of furthermore, there's Donut in a ton of these community Slack channels. Find one, register for it. I have made so many of the amazing connections. So many of the people that have shown up here have been through donuts that I've met through totally other channels, and all over the world. It is amazing how many people are just wanting to reach out. You just need to find where they are. And to kind of like pull that, like, we did have kind of a little question around like around the job market, and how are mentors and sponsors helping people navigate at this time. And the answer is, I think it's kind of complicated. Because I can be a sponsor to come work where I work, and I can be a sponsor for anybody in my network, but maybe you need more, right? I really wonder where people and what people are doing at this time, but I know that all three of you, are deeply involved in hiring and helping women elevate each other and get into those positions, as well as, basically everybody. So, any final advice? Tell us what you're doing, what you're up to, what you're super excited about.
I want to say something about what you were saying earlier, because I think, and then I'll answer your question.
No, go for it.
That I think I just want to be like really upfront is that doing, you know, the sticky thing and the networking thing, it is deeply uncomfortable. Like, you're not gonna all of a sudden be like, if you're sitting there thinking, oh, they keep saying all this stuff, but I'm uncomfortable. Guess what? So am I. So are most of us. Like, I'm also an introvert. And so I think even when you're an extrovert, it's deeply uncomfortable, but yeah, you just have to do it. So that's kind of what the point where, you know, how persistent are you going to be and how much are you going to just embrace the discomfort and just do it? That's going to make the difference right now, because these are, you know, it is a time that's it's difficult to find new opportunities right now. But yeah, I think just to answer your question, I'm super excited about hopefully launching the beta for my company and hype her. I said we're going to have to rename it, and it's true. I'm going to have to rename it before we launch beta, hopefully. So sometime next month. So would love to see some of you there.
I'm in. I love it. I hope the relaunch goes really well, or the rebranding and the launch goes really well. Fingers crossed. If there's anything we can do, we're here to help. You're very welcome. I just have advice. Well, no, I'm going to answer your advice part. My advice would be like, don't be afraid to be explicit in asking for whatever support it is that you need. I guarantee you there is someone out there who is willing and ready to help. And if you are a little anxious in how to do that, you have this great community. We are a part of it. So we're also here to help as best as we can to help you navigate that. But don't stop, just keep pushing forward. And I know that a lot of people are experiencing layoffs, but there are more people hiring than there are people being let go, and innovation is consistent. So if you need any help in navigating the job search, totally happy to help.
I think, yeah, I mean, my advice would be, first of all, I don't have much going on. I'm on a sabbatical right now. So I parted ways with Target like last year, but I'm looking for ways to contribute back. And I want to do something for the underprivileged sections of the society. So I don't know how much of that will be, will see the light, but I'm not leaving it at, I'm doing my bit every day, I guess. So I'm excited about it. My advice would be, like other people said, like, which has already been told a ton of times, that just go out there and ask for help. But like I said before, it's tough time right now, a lot of layoffs and stuff. So even if you have not networked before, one thing is to build that relationship ahead of time, so that the person knows you if they want to hire you or refer you somewhere. Like, for example, I think I love to take examples because that clicks with you, right? Like clicks with anyone. So I work for Plato. So I volunteered at Plato in the beginning. Like, so now it is a paid mentorship. So a lot of what you're getting out of this conversation is you pay for it. Like if you go to a mentor or a coach, so you're so lucky to have this, other two women, and even Stacy sharing her experience, right? Like, so you, the mention of Slack channel or the tools where you can network and find buddies and stuff, like you have to pay for to get this advice. So in Plato, when I was volunteering, when I parted ways with Target, I was looking for another job. I mean, I got a director of engineering role at Nike. That's a different story. But I put my message out there, say, hey, I got laid off, and I parted ways with Target. Like, it's kind of a mutual. So I'm looking for jobs. So the person who looked at my story was impressed, and he immediately took up. He was the CTO, and he took up my candidature with his company, and I interviewed for that company and stuff like that. So you never know how things turn out. So build that relationship. try to give it back to the community, pay it forward, pay it backward. So that's how we grow as women in tech, or like women in STEM, right? So even if you have not networked before, like just go out and ask for help. So you never know who says yes. That's my advice.
Oh my goodness, decoding feedback. Huge. So I think this is kind of an interesting place, right? So if we do have people who are looking to kind of make that final step, that final piece that goes like, who's the one person you say that somebody needs to target for who to get to be their mentor and who to get to be their sponsor? Like, how do they distill what that one quality is, and then how do they look for it? Because I feel like it's really hard. Introspection is like this huge skill, you know? Oh, I'm sorry.
So sorry, I really have to jump off. I don't mean to
No
interrupt
worries.
you, but thank you so much. Anyone, please reach out. I'd love to hear from you.
Nice to meet you.
So what is that one, like, how do you introspect enough to know what that next skill is and not just like spray and pray like so many other people are doing in all these different regards, because technology makes that so accessible. Like how do you act with intention? How do you make that intention manifest?
Yeah, I think like in the first part of your question, like how to identify a sponsor, I think it's someone who's like demonstrated and done it, right? So it's like, if this is the thing you're trying to do, they've already done it. So they've probably got some sort of playbook. When you think about a mentor, I think holistically, like who can help you build your strengths, think of the total person. But that mentor might be someone either in your industry or outside your industry, or it actually could just be an actual like career development practitioner. Like that's their job to be able to support you in that. So thinking about them in that lens, but sponsor definitely someone who has a career that aligns with what it is that you're trying to accomplish in your career. And I think that might help you further along once you've identified whatever the why is on what you're trying to accomplish.
Yeah, I mean, that why is so important, right? Like self introspection, as Stacy said, we all try to practice that, but it's a very hard thing to do. So I think we generally look for like features, like what do I look like? My sponsor, my mentor should look like that, or he or she should have the same quality. We tend to fall into that area, but I would say probably look for someone who thinks differently than you. That way you get a different perspective and learn. And what I look for in my mentees is their preparedness, right? Like, so it doesn't have to be super huge or hefty goal, like what is my 5-year plan, or who knows what's going to happen in 5 years, right? Like we don't even
Man,
know.
I have a lot of messed up 5-year plans that I did not accomplish.
Yeah, so maybe 6 months down the ride, or down the road, or like 1 year down the road, what I want to do, what is my next thing to accomplish that goal. So if I see a mentee a little bit prepared about like what they want to do, because that helps you to find out what kind of sponsor or mentor do you need, right? What do I want? What do I have right now? And what do I want to do, right? So that helps you find the mentor, right? So it's easier to find mentor than sponsor. So I would go with mentor. So you never know when your mentor they might become sponsored, right? So so they might get you speaking engagements or something else. So if you never know what kind of relationships you build. So try to be early on that board and jump on that board and build that relationship and see what you want to do. One thing that helped me is my mentor at Target told me something called as start, stop, and continue. Like, what do I want to start? What is it that I'm doing right now I shouldn't be doing anymore? That is stop. And what I want to do, like, which is already working for me, I want to continue doing that. So putting those things in those three buckets might help you in one way. So there are different frameworks, but so that's one of them, to identify your goals or maybe plan ahead of time.
Yeah, and kind of to add to that, some of the signs of whether or not you're in the right place is if the stop and the start are not reflections of who you are. So if the stop of something that you need to stop doing is stop being some part of who you are, then it's probably not the right thing to stop. Like, how do you make this strength based, right? How do I start doing something that plays into what I do uniquely and what I can bring, but I just haven't done it yet.
Yeah.
Y'all are full of some amazing potential. And potential energy has power. So you have to act with intention on where to release it. Sorry, I didn't mean to get all philosophical. Anyway.
That was a mic drop moment that I was here for. So thank you for that. I loved it.
We are at time, and I want to thank our amazing panelists. Polina had a prior engagement and needed to move on. So thank you so much to Polina and Prati and Dopra / Hana. You're just Dopra from now on. I'm just thinking of the Netflix special, and it's like, we need to do one of those at some point, right? Like, just chit chat. All the former monthly mentor panelists. Just a nice like reunion moment. But thank you again so much to everyone here, and we'll stop the recording and go.